Hey, hey. So today I wanted to talk through a scenario. What I would do if I were to move abroad today with no job. And this video topic came to mind just because of the reality of the current situation with everything going on with unemployment, how heavily it is affecting the Black community, even more specifically, Black women, and just how difficult it is, not only with people losing their jobs, but also with finding jobs, with so many corporations opting to outsource and use AI over actually hiring humans. So, if I wanted to make the move abroad today, these are the steps that I would take, even if I didn't have a job. So, for starters, I would write down the exact country or countries I plan on making the move to. And this is the first step, and what I feel like is a really important step because I think a lot of times when making such a big decision as making the move abroad, we get caught up in all the excitement and go down a lot of wormholes of all the possibilities of where you could go and where you could move to. So it's really important to just get a clear vision on the exact place or places you plan on being and for how long. In my case, for the sake of this scenario, I'll say I would pick Mexico, Thailand, and Vietnam, spending 3 months in Mexico, 3 months in Thailand, and 6 months in Vietnam. So that's what I would pick for this scenario. I'm curious to know, for those of you who are looking to make the move, let me know down in the comments what are your top countries for where you want to go and how long are you planning on staying there? Okay, so once I have my countries lined up, the next thing would be to do a deep dive into the cost of living for each country or country for the country or countries. And to do this, I would do beyond just a basic Google search, but really doing a deep dive into specific vlogs that talk about the cost of living there, looking into TikToks, using resources online like Nubio, I think is how you say it, Nubio, or different like online cost of living calculators. And then if you know anyone who is living there, either on a personal level or maybe even just reaching out to content creators who I know are specific or talk about living in a certain destination, and asking them what cost of living is like for particular things such as housing or food, transportation. And this is important because on the ground research will help a lot, especially in this day and age where inflation has affected everyone on a global scale. And so a lot of the prices that you'll see online may not reflect the most updated prices today. So once I have the cost of living down, I would then take some time to assess what my current monthly expenses are. For me, I track all my monthly expenses in an app. Um, but if you don't, this is a good time to, sit down, bring out the pen and paper, and really track how much is going out or how much your bills are on a monthly basis. I also would take note of any income that I have, um, whether it's like small part-time gigs or like doing little side hustles here and there. Even if it's not consistent income, it's still good to note any income that's coming in to just help with seeing the full financial picture. And then I would subtract the cost of living from my expenses and income, whatever income I have added together, to see the cost savings. And I would do this for each country. So the cost of living of Mexico, subtract it from my expenses and income to get the cost savings that I would have when I'm living, particularly in Mexico. And then I would also do it for Thailand and then also do it for Vietnam. So, again, this is giving you the full financial picture of what life is going to look like money wise once I make the move abroad. And then, with all this data and information in mind, I would choose a date. I would pick the date that I'm going to move and pick a date that's realistic, right? Because I can see now like where my finances are currently, where my finances could be, and really make the executive decision on what makes the most sense for me and whatever my current financial situation is. And then once I know what my move abroad date is, I would look for a one-way ticket to the first country, so one-way ticket to Mexico in this case, and I would turn on my flight alerts to keep an eye out for any deals that I see. Um, I'm also very much a points hacker. So once I could see what the estimated cost for the flight is, I honestly would start charging more stuff on my travel credit card and building up points in order to save up for that flight and maybe even flights going forward. But that's just what I would do. So once my moving date is finalized and I know, or I have an eye out keeping watch on flights, trying to catch for the best deal, I would then start taking inventory of everything in my apartment. So things that I know aren't going to be coming with me once I make this move. And I say apartment, but whatever your living situation is. So maybe I have a bed, maybe I have a couch, maybe I have, like a really heavy frying pan, like different things that you can sell on Facebook Marketplace. This is what I would do. And this is actually what I did before making the move abroad. Got an Excel spreadsheet, listed out all the items that I could sell, put a price next to it for what I think would be a fair price or what I'm seeing is market rate. And I kept track in the spreadsheet too of what items would sell because I put it on Facebook Marketplace and just sell it over time. So keep track of what actually sold and how much I sold it for. So not only do I see how much I like want to make by the time I sell all this stuff, but I see how much I actually made. And then for other things that might be things you want to sell, but you might have a moving date that's like 3 or 4 months out, so you're not going to sell it just yet because, for example, like your car, you're going to need your car up to the point that you leave. I would also put this in the inventory sheet, but I wouldn't put it on, like, I wouldn't start putting it out there that I'm selling it just yet because if you find a buyer like next week and you're like, oh, but come back in 3 months, it's probably not gonna work out well. Instead, what I would do with items like that is just by word of mouth, start letting friends and family know that you plan on selling the car, um, and get interest, like start piquing interest. So when it is time to sell it, there's possible buyers at least lined up, and it's not as much pressure to have to sell something that big last minute. So that's what I would do with that, and hopefully start really bringing in some extra cash, extra income. And with that side cash that I'm bringing in, I personally would put it in either a high yield savings account or some sort of investment fund. So it depends on, the situation, your financial situation and what you have going on. But I think the money that's coming in, since it is extra income in this case, it would be best used to make more income, right? So if it's in a high yield savings account or in an investment account, it's either building interest or like, building money over time. So that's what I would put that money and hold it for the time being. And then I would start working on setting up some income strategies. And with these income strategies, there's pretty much like two pathways that I would take. The first one would be getting income that is low effort, but like fast cash. So essentially, these are like side hustles, but ideally, side hustles that I could do online. So if I find myself in a bind at some point while I am abroad, these are, side hustles that I've already built up a foundation for online, and I can kind of fall back on them if I need to. So some examples of these would be doing like paid surveys or paid market research opportunities. I've actually done this before, not to move abroad, but in the past, I was signed up for a market research site. They are always looking for particular people, like specific people. So if you match what they're looking for, then you can have do the opportunity. So it really just depends, but it's very low effort to sign up for these opportunities, and some of them, specifically the market research ones, can pay pretty well. The one that I did was on it was through user interviews, and I believe they paid me like $250 for, I can't even remember what the task was. It was me. I know I had to answer questions, and it couldn't have lasted any more than like 30 or 45 minutes. So not too bad for like not even a full hour of work. So that's an option. Another route is tutoring online. This is something that I did fall back on when I lost my job while being abroad. So this is a good hustle to already have set up. Again, if you ever get in a bind or you just need some extra cash flow, it's good to already have it in place. I use Preply as my platform of choice, but there are other platforms out there that you can use, and you can teach a wide variety of things: English, math, science, like music. Literally, you can teach any subject out there that you enjoy and would like to teach. And you also have the freedom to set your price as well as your schedule. So it offers a lot of flexibility, um, but it is in the category of low effort, because it doesn't take much to just set up a profile and get it done. So low effort, fast cash. Another option to do online would be training AI. This is something that has grown more popular in the recent years. Similar to the market research setup, you do have to match a certain criteria, but if you do, this pays pretty well, and essentially all you're doing is spending time training the robots how to take over the world. So that's an option as well. Now, if you are in a situation where the online part doesn't really matter, like you're looking at maybe like a longer time out, maybe like 6 months, 8 months, and you're like, I would rather just have fast cash now. It doesn't really matter as much as if it's online or not right now. Some other options that you could look into would be house sitting, dog walking, and another really interesting one is Facebook Marketplace flipping. So we talked about taking inventory of your stuff and selling it, but you could also hop different garage sales or go to thrift stores, find really unique and maybe perceived high value items and flip those on Facebook Marketplace. So that's something that you could do as well. That's fairly low effort and can result in some fast cash. Now, that was one income strategy that I would take. Since that one is low effort, I also would look at building, or I would also use the time that I have left over to put effort into something, or to put my time into something that's a little bit more high effort, but results in higher earning opportunity and more long term growth. And this comes to something I have talked about many a times on this channel, but literally assessing my skills and flipping that into a more sustainable income stream. I won't get too in depth with how to do that here because I do have an entire guide on how to do that. And if you want to check it out, it's down in the description box below. It's called the Beyond the 9 to 5 Guide, Starter Guide to Move Abroad. So feel free to grab that. It's completely free and it walks you through pretty much everything I've talked about in this video, as well as taking you through the steps of really assessing what your skills are and how that can translate into income for you abroad. All right, so that's what I would do if I were looking to make the move abroad today and didn't have a job or steady stream of income lined up just yet. Hopefully you guys found this helpful, inspiring, motivating. Like I said, I want to know if you're planning on making the move. Let me know those countries. And yeah, share this video with someone who could use it, maybe need some ideas for making the move abroad. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.